Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, her fingers drumming against the cold metal railing as she watched the tactical display. The enemy fleet hung in space like a constellation of malevolent stars, their bioluminescent hulls pulsing with an alien rhythm that made her skin crawl. The Zephyrians had been humanity's declared enemy for 3 decades, ever since first contact had gone catastrophically wrong. "Final count, Commander Rodriguez?" Chen asked, her voice steady despite the weight of what was about to unfold. 2,347 hostile vessels, Admiral. They're maintaining formation at the edge of the Kepler system. Rodriguez's dark eyes reflected the blue glow of his console. "Our fleet stands at 800 ships." The numbers should have been daunting. For 30 years, humanity had struggled against the Zephyrians' superior technology and seemingly endless numbers. Their ships moved like living creatures, adapting and evolving mid-battle. Conventional weapons barely scratched their biometallic hulls, and their reproduction rate meant that every victory was Pyrrhic at best. But today was different. Today, humanity would deploy the Omega Protocol. Dr. Elena Vasquez emerged from the tactical room, her usually pristine lab coat wrinkled from sleepless nights. The quantum physicist looked exhausted but determined. "All Omega devices are synchronized and ready for deployment, Admiral. The quantum entanglement matrix is stable across all fleet units." Chen nodded grimly. The Omega Protocol represented 5 years of desperate research and development. When conventional warfare failed, humanity had turned to the most fundamental forces of the universe itself. The devices would create localized quantum cascades, essentially unraveling the atomic structure of anything caught within their field of effect. "Admiral," came the voice of Communications Officer Park, "we're receiving another surrender demand from the Zephyrian command ship." "Put it through." The main screen flickered, revealing the grotesque visage of War Prime Kethara. The Zephyrian's translucent flesh rippled with bioluminescent patterns, and its multiple eyes focused on Chen with predatory intensity. When it spoke, the universal translator rendered its wet, gurgling sounds into cold, mechanical English. "Human Admiral Chen, your species' persistence remains admirable, yet futile. Surrender now, and we shall grant swift extinction rather than prolonged consumption." Chen stepped forward, her jaw set. "War Prime Kethara, you've underestimated humanity for the last time. We don't surrender. We adapt." The alien's eyes pulsed brighter. "Your weapons cannot penetrate our bioarmor. Your ships cannot match our regeneration. What adaptation could possibly?" Chen cut the transmission with a sharp gesture. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen. Operation Omega is now active. Coordinate firing solutions and prepare for quantum cascade initiation on my mark." Across the vast expanse of space, 800 human vessels began to move in perfect synchronization. The Zephyrian fleet responded immediately, their bioships undulating forward like a swarm of deep-sea predators. Plasma bursts lit up the darkness as the two fleets engaged. "Omega devices charging," Dr. Vasquez reported, her fingers flying across holographic interfaces. "Quantum matrices aligning. We'll have full cascade potential in 30 seconds." The first wave of Zephyrian ships crashed into humanity's front line. Human vessels exploded in brilliant flowers of light and debris, but their sacrifice bought precious time. The enemy's bioweapons tore through metal and flesh with horrifying efficiency, but the human formation held. Admiral Rodriguez called out, his voice tight with urgency. "We're losing the outer perimeter faster than projected. If we don't initiate soon." 20 seconds, Dr. Vasquez announced. Quantum field coherence at 95%. Chen watched as another dozen human ships were consumed by the alien swarm. Each loss was a name, a face, thousands of crew members who had volunteered for this desperate gambit. But their deaths would not be in vain. 15 seconds. Coherence at 98%. The Zephyrian command ship had pushed through the human lines, its massive bulk bearing down on the Prometheus. War Prime Kethera's face appeared on screen again, transmitted through local quantum channels. Your fleet dies, Human Admiral. Your species time ends now. 10 seconds, Dr. Vasquez called out. All devices showing green. Quantum cascade, ready for initiation. Chen raised her hand, watching as the Zephyrian ships closed the final distance. At this range, the cascade would consume both fleets, but humanity had already accepted that price. The war would end here, one way or another. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, execute Omega Protocol. Chen's voice rang across all frequencies. In an instant that lasted an eternity, space itself seemed to shudder. 800 quantum cascade devices activated simultaneously, their fields overlapping and amplifying each other in a carefully orchestrated symphony of destruction. The fundamental forces that held matter together simply stopped. The effect was beyond spectacular. Where the Zephyrian fleet had been, there was now only empty space, scattered with subatomic particles. 2,000 ships and their crews had been reduced to their component atoms in less than a heartbeat. Even their bioregeneration couldn't repair damage at the quantum level. The human fleet hadn't escaped unscathed. 600 ships had been caught in the cascade's outer edges, their crews making the ultimate sacrifice for their species' survival. But 200 vessels remained, including the Prometheus. Tactical assessment, Chen ordered, her voice hoarse. All Zephyrian vessels destroyed, Admiral, Rodriguez reported, his tone filled with disbelief. Complete annihilation. No survivors detected. Dr. Vasquez slumped in her chair, the weight of what they'd accomplished settling on her shoulders. The quantum matrices have burned out completely. We can't replicate this on such a scale again. Chen nodded slowly. They wouldn't need to. Intelligence suggested this had been the primary Zephyrian war fleet, their main force in this sector of the galaxy. Without it, their empire would likely collapse into infighting and territorial disputes. Send word to Earth Command, she said quietly. The Zephyrian threat has been neutralized. Humanity's fleet has achieved total victory. As the surviving ships began their long journey home, Chen couldn't help but reflect on the cost. They had won, but at a price that would haunt her forever. In seeking to preserve humanity, they had perhaps lost something essentially human in the process. The stars watched silently as the remnants of Earth's fleet disappeared into the quantum foam, carrying news of victory and the terrible knowledge of what they had become capable of when pushed to the brink of extinction.